Just bear with me a little bit, guys. So just a few short moments. There we go. Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to the Zone, where today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing something that I've kind of wanted to do for a very, very long time now, and something to just display to you guys exactly how my autism affects me, because we're going to be doing a autism test provided by clinical partners, which I believe is in some way, I think, partnered with the NHS. I specifically sort of wanted to do a UK based autism test, because I'm not too sure if there are any differences between the US and the UK, but I just wanted to be able to do this because it's probably the most relevant as far as I was concerned. Now, again, if for some of you guys may already know, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome when I was 2 years old, and ironically, as much as I know people would say that, well, particularly Chris would demand there's such things as, what was it, about dating educational classes. I, for one, however, say that I would be very surprised as to find out if there are any autism tests in order for adults, because it could. You never know how I'll explain some of my reasonings later on, but we're going to start now, and there are about 30 questions involved. This should take us about an hour or so to do, maybe an hour and a half. It depends how talkative I get, because this is something that I take particularly seriously, so it makes sense to me at the very least. Okay, and in case some of you out there who also may have Asperger's syndrome, I'd imagine it would be just the same for you guys at home. So let's start with question 1. I prefer to do things on my own rather than with others. Definitely agree. Also, just go for this. When answering the above questions, please consider how much statements apply to you. Yeah, absolutely. They would do that because the spectrum is almost almost a universal spectrum, so that there's plenty of space out there, and there are so many different types of people that fall under very specific types of the spectrum. So to definitely just, again, to keep things on track, I prefer to do things on my own. Yes, definitely. Not all the times, but I would say more often than not. If it's something I can manage, then definitely agree. 2. I prefer doing things the same way, for instance, my morning routine or trip to the supermarket. Yes, definitely agree. I can't. Any more than, let's say, 2 people who have to go along, especially when we're shopping and that, I can't. I can't deal with it. It's absolute. It is. So, sometimes outside I'm on the calm, but in here I am almost ready to have an outburst. I feel like sometimes, when I try and make a decision and make a suggestion and all that, it's regarded, it's disregarded on principle, no matter whatever the hell it is. And there may be a few questions where they'll talk about deeper stuff than that, but just to let you know, that's some of the things. So yes, doing things the same way, it makes the routine. That's the whole point of doing a routine, is that so that's what's being planned, what you got to do, and it makes sense to me. It just does. Question 3. I find myself becoming strongly absorbed in something, even obsessional. I definitely agree with that as well. That's just... I can't even lie. That's just... I am very sensitive to noise and will wear earplugs to cover my eyes. Sorry about that, guys. A bit of a indigestion right there. I am very sensitive to noise and will earplugs. Slightly disagree. I've sort of become... I've become numb to this as I'm getting older. I'm starting to learn to control it a little bit better. Many years ago, I would have panic attacks about noise, but that's slightly got better. 5. Sometimes people say I'm being rude, even though I am being polite. Oh, that is a definite. There'll be some things I just say because, you know what? Sometimes I think that's the right thing to say. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But you know what? I'm just getting my point across, and I'm the kind of guy that thinks that any opinion is valid, but whether it's regards, things that happen in society and stuff, that it can affect other people in a bad light, I do advocate it because even though people will use it to will abuse freedom of speech to whatever end, for good or for bad. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, I'm as valid as anything else. I find it easy to imagine what characters from a book look like. Yeah, if you guys have seen like anything I've managed to written down before in Sangri and Hazel, you know that is so it's scary how close that's. I can think about that. Question 7. I find it easy to talk in groups of people. You know what? Actually, you know what? It's a little bit easier, but it depends really what type of group it is. If it's groups of people where I'm on the outside trying to, gain an advantage inwards, that sort of thing is almost impossible for someone like me. If it's something that if it's like a small group that like builds over time, then I'm kind of like half and half, so I think I'll just put slightly agree. I am more interested in finding out. It depends on this it depends on the people. I guess that's what you could say. 8. I am more interested in finding out about things than people. Slightly that. It depends on the things. It depends on the certain type of people. That doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that it's half and half. So that's a very slightly disagree. I find numbers, dates, and strings slightly, sometimes, but more information fascinating. But I think that's just like in general, not in comparison to something else. So I would say slightly agree on that. 10. I prefer non-fiction books and films to fiction. Well, wouldn't films be fictional anyway? And well, unless of course it was like a documentary or something like that. So, although I will admit there's something actually. A lot of the stuff I'm reading at the moment is non-fictional because it's supposed to relate to the sort of work I want to get myself involved into once I have my break on my hiatus. So slightly disagree, although I do like non-fiction stuff. Question 11. I find it upsetting my daily routine is. You have absolutely no idea how that pisses me off when that happens. Like no end. It's difficult for me to understand other people's facial expression. Definitely not. You can tell, guys. You can just tell the signs. I mean, I'll give you guys a little bit of an example right now. I'll tell you what. I'll just pause here and I'll tell you what. Let's see. I'll give it a minute. Tell me what you think, guys, I'm thinking about, or what's going on right now in the next minute. I think we'll just we'll keep that one short there. Again, depending on what you might think of it, it could be different from you to other people's, but there we go. Anyway, slightly disagree. I think it's pseudo easy, but then again, you could try to understand. So slightly disagree. I don't have any problems making small talk with new people. I suppose it just depends on what your opening gambit would be. Whether you're going to ask somebody for the time or whether you'd like to just hold the door for... I think the thing about asking for the time is so genuine, or even just saying hello to somebody in the street is just okay, I guess. Like, eye contact. Because, like, for example, if I was going for me walk right now and somebody would be walking on down the other way on the same path, usually we would have to, like, make way for each other so that because, COVID-19 and 2 meters and all that. but we would say, hello and make eye contact and stuff like that. So, slightly agree. I don't have problems. It's just, it depends, like, on the situation, I guess. Okay, question 14. I notice very small changes in a person's appearance. Slightly disagree. When I was young, I used to play lots of Let's Pretend or imaginary games. That's not almost up for debate. That's definitely. I like collecting information about things I'm interested in. You know what's quite strange about that one? Yes, that is true, but that doesn't mean to say that, things like, there's this YouTube channel called Daily Dose of Internet that does just little random tidbits of information here and there. So I enjoy watching those, but in terms of like relevancy, in terms of like how it's gonna like what I can do with it, I will say slightly. Question 17. I like meeting new people. Definitely. Question 18. People close to me say I talk about the same things repeatedly. I don't know, man. I think like maybe people when I'm like making my posts, community posts and all that might say the same thing, but there's reasons for that. It's updates, it's information I'm trying to relay to my viewers about how the day's going and what progress I made, but I never really heard anybody say that it's a bad thing, technically, so slightly disagree, I suppose. I find it easy to work out what people are thinking or feeling just by looking at their facial expressions. I don't really think about that because you can never really figure out exactly what is going on in somebody's head. That's just what I'm going to stick to there. New social situations make me feel anxious. Again, slightly. It just, if I wouldn't put myself into an environment that, I wasn't feeling comfortable with. So I do that almost basically on principle. So sometimes in life you just got to know exactly what it is you're getting into. So slightly disagree on that. It's important for me to carefully plan activities as I'm going to do it. Again, slightly disagree. Sometimes I have a very small plan. Sometimes it goes completely out the window. I just do whatever. The heart wants what the heart wants. So slightly disagree. I find it hard to work out what people's intentions are. Slightly disagree. Again, and that brings me back to like what I was trying to say earlier, is that despite hard trying, we can never fully work out exactly what one another is accurately thinking about. So I'll go slightly disagree on that one. 23. I would find it really hard to play imaginary games with children. I'd say slightly disagree. You know what? If I had a job as childminder, I think I would get along with that really easy. I think because, well, just of how vibrant and how imaginative kids can get, then I think it would be really easy to like sort of like fall in and just try and like play along with their I was going to say delusions, but they're just their games. It's ironically as well, they call it imaginary games when you're like at a young age, but as you grow older they become delusions. 24. I am a good diplomat and can help ease difficult social or work situations. I think so. You have to take points from both sides and you have to like work to make them, come together, and even if one person is definitely in the wrong, you've got to make sure to tell them in a way that's not condescending that what they've done was wrong, and you've got to make sure to apologize, and you've got to try and to tell the other side that they were going to apologize because they realize what they've done. You got to like just try and work with each other, I guess you could say. So I would say agree. 25. I am often the last person to understand a joke. Sometimes. I like doing things spontaneously. Slightly. Some things I will do literally at the spur of the moment, just because it's different. It's a different routine. It makes things more exciting, and I can put more into something else and basically take it from there. Question 27. If I am interrupted doing something, I find it hard to get back into what I was doing beforehand. Slightly. I'm getting kind of a little bit numb to that feeling as well. Especially recently, because it's happening more often recently than not. Question 28. I notice patterns in things all the time. Slightly. Although some things are a little bit easier to spot than others, but not all the time. 29. I have some very strong interests and get upset if I can't pursue them. Yes, definitely. I could say that as well. And finally, question 30. I can tell if someone I am talking to is getting bored. Yeah, definitely. Also, that's just based on evidence that's been happening over the last week and a half in this house, for example. I get behind that. Okay, so that's all 30 questions asked, and we're about to see. The results indicate that you have the same score as most people do when completing this test and probably don't have an autistic spectrum disorder. Hang on a minute. This test looks at some of the common tendencies experienced by those who an autism spectrum disorder. Your score suggests you experience the same number as most people who complete the test. Autism is a spectrum disorder, which means most of us will experience some of these traits to a lesser or greater degree. What should I do now? If you are surprised with the score, you may want to retake the test or speak to one of the triage team at this number here. I think that's a UK landline number, who can discuss with you your concerns. The assessment for autism is very in-depth and will go into a great more detail than the above quick indicator test. You may therefore want to consider whether a full assessment will be helpful for you. Our triage team can explain this in more detail. You may also want to consider whether the difficulties you are experiencing are a sign of another mental health condition, such as ADHD. No, I don't have ADHD, and I don't have OCD either. You could take one, because listen, if I did have OCD, I can guarantee you, this whole room would be completely bare. Every wall would be the same colour. That friggin' lamp would go. Probably I would get pissed off at the alignment of the letters underneath the light bulb. I'd imagine I would be an absolute nutcase for that sort of thing. You can take one of our other online tests or speak to the triage team, who can advise on what might be the best course of action to take. If you are at all concerned about how you are feeling, we would always recommend speaking to someone. Our team of clinical advisors are all trained professionals who are able to help identify if there might be a problem that we can help with. We can arrange private psychiatric assessments and therapy sessions at one of your 21 nationwide locations. Take the test again. What happens next? Give us a call, speak with one of our trained clinicians about how you are feeling, or ask a question. We are here to support and help. Keep a copy of your results. I'll email the results. Take another test. Anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, stress, and many more. They will only take about 5 minutes. How we helped others. Each year we help thousands of people just like you, face-to-face or online, to find experienced expert consultant psychiatrists, psychologists, and psychotherapists. Right. Do you think it would be a good idea to give these guys a call? Because that's very, very, very strange. I was going to say, to be honest, I thought I would arranged maybe about 16 or 17. I did not think it would be as low as that. Because I do know there is a document that I've seen somewhere that shows that when I was diagnosed, and I think it was also had the doctor's name on it and her signature. I think it was a female doctor who analysed me, I think, when I was 2 years old. That's strange, guys. That's really, really strange. I mean, I always knew that they said I was on the very, very mild end of the spectrum. But I didn't think it was anything like that. I thought very mild would be something like maybe the slight tendency sort of border, not slap bang in the middle of common result. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll email the results to myself. Maybe I could look at some of the other tests as well, just to see if there is anything else that could be impacting this, or whether or not, like, or whether or not with like a proper analysis it could be anything more like that. Because I straight up, because this is the sort of thing I was alluding to, like at the beginning. I think it would be beneficial to unbelievable. I was doing garden work about an hour and a half ago, and they're just doing the stuff anyway. And in case you could hear that, that's the petrol-powered lawnmower that I was using. Makes a racket, doesn't it? So anyway, what I was trying to get back to is that I would actually almost want to make it mandatory for there to be like psychotherapy sessions for people who are adults who have autism or have Asperger's, or who are on the spectrum in any other way, because listen, I'm gonna straight up admit that that autism, as far as I'm concerned, is incurable, because it's not really a mental health condition in the technical sense, as far as I can work out. For me, autism is not a disability. It does not hinder what I could do physically, but it's just that my brain is slightly it looks at things slightly different. It looks at the glass half full, if you get my meaning. Maybe I should look into it, or at the very least look into maybe some of the other assessments, just because I want to make sure there's, if you see, I wouldn't know what else to think. It certainly wouldn't be anxiety. It certainly wouldn't be depression. But it's not like, I don't think it works like that either. I don't think it's like a process of elimination, that if they think I don't have this and I don't have that, then it's got to be A, B, or C. I don't think mental illnesses work quite like that. I'll look into it, but for what it was worth, I think this was still a really, really good idea. I think the idea is just, I wanted to absolutely make sure. I wanted to show you guys exactly what it was like for me to just try and answer these questions, and just a little bit of a clearer insight as to, you know, what's going on up here. And at the very least, I'm glad that I decided to take that on board, and we'll see where it goes from there. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed me taking the autism spectrum course, the autism assessment. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments and all that, and I'll see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.